We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Gimel Amid Beis in Mesechet Kesuvos. This is Kesuvos Daf 23b. The Mishnah says, Shtei Nashim Shenishbu. Let's say you have a situation of two women and they are captured. Rashi over here says, Sheyesh Eidim Shenishbu. There are witnesses that they were held captive. In other words, they don't have a Pesha Os or Pesha Hitter. Zoso Meres Nishbesiu Tahorani. This one says, I was captured, but I'm pure. Zoso Meres Nishbesiu Tahorani. And the other one says, I was captured, and I am pure. Eino Nemono. So in that case, they're not going to be believed. Again, they don't have a Pesha Osir in that situation. But if they testify about one another, each one says the other one is pure, so in that situation they are believed. Rashi over here says, again, they're Eidim, they were captured. Each one says, my friend is pure, they are believed. Like we said, by captivity we are lenient, and in this case we're being lenient and even accepting one aid, even accepting a woman's testimony. And the Gemara says, Tanu Rabban, and the rabbis taught, Ani tameya v'chaverti tahora. Let's say the woman says, I am impure, but my friend, she is pure, ne'emenes, so she's going to be believed. Rashi says she's believed on everything she says. Ani tahora v'chaverti tameya. Let's say she says, I am tahora, my friend is tameya, ein ne'emenes, then she's not believed at all. This will all be explained in the Gemara. Ani v'chaverti tameya. Let's say she says, both of us are tameya. Ne'emenes al atzma ve'ena ne'emenes al chaverta. She's believed about herself, but not her friend. Ani v'chaverti tahora. If she says we're both tahora, ne'emenes al chaverta. She's believed on her friend. Ve'ena ne'emenes al atzma. But she's not believed about herself. And the Gemara now analyzes the brayso. So Amar Mar, the master said, Ani tahora v'chaverti tameya eina ne'emenes. If she says that I am pure, my friend is tameya, so then she's not believed. So the Gemara says, Hechi dami. What exactly is the case? Ideleka edam al atzma. If there are no witnesses about herself, in other words, when she says that she's tahora, there are no witnesses that ever said that she was held captive. Amai lo mehemna. Why is she not believed? Nishbesiu tahora ani kamra. She's saying, I was captured and I'm pure. She has a pesha aser, pesha hitter. Elapshita, rather, it must be obvious to ika edam. There must be, in this case, there must be witnesses saying that she was held captive, and that's why she's not believed. She doesn't have the pesha aser, pesha hitter. So the Gemara says, Ema mitziyasa. Let's take a look now at the middle case. Ani v'chaverti tameya. She says, I and my friend, we are both tameya. So ne'emenes al atzma, she's believed to make herself considered to be impure. Ve'ena ne'emenes al chaverta, but she's not believed on her friend. And so the Gemara says, 1 second, v'id de'ika edim. But if there are witnesses that they were held in captivity, amai lo mehemna, why isn't she believed regarding her friend? Elab shita deleka edim. So obviously in this case you have to say there are no witnesses whatsoever. But now let's look at the last case. Ani v'chaverti tahora. Both of us were both tahora. Ne'emenes al chaverta, she's believed to say her friend is pure. Ve'ena ne'emenes al atzma, she's not believed on herself. And so again, the Gemara says, V'idaleka edem atzma. Now in this case, if there are no witnesses, so atzma, my lo mehemna, why isn't she believed about herself? Again, it should be a pesha aser, pesha hitter. Elapshita de'ika edem. Obviously in this sefer, you have to say there are witnesses that say they were held captive. So this is a problem over here. Reisha v'sefer de'ika edem. It comes out that in the first case and the last case, you're saying there are witnesses. Mitziyasa deleka edem, and in the middle case there are no witnesses. Wouldn't you want it to be that it's consistent the whole way through? The case is identical. And so the Gemara says, Amar Abaya says, in yes. Reisha v'sefer de'ika edem. In the Reisha and the Sefer there are witnesses. Mitziyasa deleka edem. And in the middle case there are no witnesses. And we'll just note one Rashi over here on the middle case when there are no edem. So we say that she says that we are both tameya, so she's believed on herself. As Rashi explains, Elapshita deleka edem, obviously there are no witnesses. V'adidah mehemna, but she's still believed to say that she herself is tameya. Because a person can say render themselves usher. So in that situation, even though there are no witnesses, so of course she's not believed on her friend, but she is believed on herself. And the Gemara continues, Rapapa says a different answer for this brayso. Kula de'ika edem. In all of these cases, actually, there are edem that say that they were held captive. And there's also one aid that contradicts whatever she's saying. So Amra ni tameya v'chaverti tahora. So let's say she says, I am tameya, and my friend is tahora. V'yamar lo eid echad, and now one aid says to her the exact opposite. No, at tahora, you're actually pure. V'chavertach tameya, but your friend is actually impure. So then we understand as follows. For her, so she's already rendered herself aser, so it doesn't matter what the aid says. And chavert, and then when it comes to her friend, mishtarya apumadida, through her testimony, through one witness which is sufficient, by cases of captivity, so her friend becomes permitted. Now in the other case, let's say, ani tahora v'chaverti tameya. Let's say she says, I am pure and my friend is tameya. V'yamar lo eid echad, and then one aid says, no, at tameya, you're actually tameya, v'chavertach tahora, and your friend is actually tahora, is pure. So when it comes to her, kevan di'ika edim, so since there are edim over here that she was held captive, lav kol kamina, so therefore she's not going to be believed in this situation, and therefore we're going to say she can't say ani tahora. We're going to assume that she's tameya. Now chaverta, when it comes to her friend, mishtaria apuma de'eid, so her friend is going to become permitted through the testimony of the aid, because again, one aid is going to be sufficient. And the Gemara continues, Rapapa continues, ani v'chaverti tameya. Let's say she says both of us are tameya. V'yamar lo eid echad ad v'chavertach tahora, and then the aid says no, you're actually both tahora. So again, isha visla nafshe chaticha disura. She's rendered herself aser, so we believe her legabi herself. Chaverta, but when it comes to the friend, mishtaria puma de'aid, again, she's going to be permitted through the testimony of the one aid. But the Gemara continues, hasu lamali, but what do we need this last case for? This last case is basically just reapplying the same principles, that a person can prohibit themselves, and that a person can be permitted through the testimony of one aid. Hainu reish, it's exactly what we're learning in the first cases of the Brisa. And the Gemara says, no, it is a chiddush, because ma'u detema, what might you have said in a case where she says we're both tameya, so hani tarvaya tahoros ninu, maybe actually in reality they're both tahoros. And the reason why she's saying that we're both tameya, we're both tameos, is because tamus nafshi and plishtim. What she's saying is, let me die together with the plishtim. In other words, she's willing to sacrifice herself to make herself seem more credible just in order to prohibit her friend. So therefore over there's actually a reason to suspect maybe they're both tahoros. And so that's what the chiddush is, kamash malan. That's what the Bryce is teaching us, that we apply the principles in the same exact manner. And the Gemara continues, ani v'chaverti tahora. Let's say the case where she says, we are both tahoros. V'amar lo eid echad, and now again the eid echad flips it around and says, at v'chavertach tameo, you're actually both tameos. So when it comes to her, kevan di'ika edim, so since there are edim that say that they were held captive, so again, lav kol kamina, so her words don't mean anything over here, so she can't render herself pure. But chaverta, but her friend, mishtaria pumadida, she's going to be permitted because it's her own testimony, that's one witness, is going to permit the friend. And the Gemara says, hasulamali, again, why do we need this case for? Hainu reisha de reisha, that again is the earlier cases, it's the exact same principles. And so the Gemara says, no, ma'u detema, you might have thought as follows. What might you have said? Ki mehemna b'makom de pasla nafsha, maybe she's only believed in a situation where she disqualifies herself. Aval b'makom de machshara nafsha, but in a situation where she's trying to make herself pure also, so now she's trying maybe to make herself, and she just brings her friend along, Eimalo mehemna, I would say there's reason not to believe her. So kamash malan, that's what it comes to teach us. No, even in this situation, avani v'chaverti tahora, her testimony does work on behalf of her friend. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, v'chein shnei anashim, similarly you can have a case with two men, ze omer kohen ani, this one says I'm a kohen, v'ze omer kohen ani, and this one says I'm a kohen, so einon ne'emanim, they are not believed. Uvizman shein midin zal zeh, but if each one is testifying about the other one, harei elu ne'emanim, so in that case they are believed. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Ein malin lakun al piyei echad." You can't make someone a kohen just on the basis of one witness. Amar Rabbi Elazar says, "Ein masai." When is that true? B'makom sheyesh orin, in a situation where you have protest against it. Aval b'makom she'ein orin, but if nobody's raising any protests, malin lakun al piyei echad, then you could establish kahuna based on the testimony of one witness. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Haskan. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Haskan, Malin l'kuhuna al piyei echad. Indeed, you are allowed to pronounce somebody a kohen based on the testimony of one witness. Rashi over here says, Ein ne'emanim litein lahem truma. The nafkamina is here, are they believed in terms of truma? They're not believed for truma if they say it. It was man shemidin zeh. Now, but if they testify about one another, shekol echad omer ani v'chavere kohen, each one says, I'm a kohen and my friend is a kohen, so then that's a different situation. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ein malin l'kuna al piyei echad. Rabbi Yehuda says you cannot use one witness. Ve'afilu heicha deleka gomlin v'chol shekein hachadika l'mechash l'gomlin. Now that's even in a situation where they're not trying to, so to speak, do each other favors. But for sure over here, where we really have to suspect that they're trying to pay each other back. I'll testify for you, you testify for me. There for sure, even in a regular situation, says Rabbi Yehuda, you can't use one aid. Orin shakorin olav shem sol. And again, we said that's only true according to Rabbi Elazar's opinion if there are orin, if there are people who are trying to disqualify. And Rashi continues, Malin, again, this is still in Rabbi Elazar, Heicha deleka gomlin. According to Rabbi Elazar, only when there's no suspicion that they're doing favors for one another, then you could use one witness to make someone a kohen. V'hainu de'ika ben Rebbe Elazar l'Tanakama and Rebbe Yehuda. Rashi says that's the difference between Rebbe Elazar and the Tanakama of the Mishnah. Tanakama of the Mishnah always believes one witness. Rebbe Elazar only believes one witness if there's no suspicion that they're doing favors for one another. And finally, we had Rebbe Shimon ben Gamliel at the end of the Mishnah also saying, Ma'alim Lakuna, Rebbe Shimon v'Gemar Mefarish my beinav. The Gemara will explain what the difference is between these various opinions. Again, now it seems that Rebbe Shimon is repeating what we just said. And the Gemara says, Kol Hani Lamali. What do we need all of these cases for? Rashi over here says, Kol Hani Detana Masnisin Lashminan HaPesha Asar Hu HaPesha Hitter Lamali. Why do we need all these various cases, which are all basically based on the idea of Pesha Asar, Pesha Hitter? And so the Gemara says, Di'i Tana Mod Rabbi Yoshua. Now, if we only had the case where Rabbi Yoshua admits, Misham Di'ika Drora Demamona, because over there you have a situation, a monetary situation. But if you have a situation of Edom where you don't have Drora Demamona, maybe I would say that is not the case. And Rashi over here says, Misham Di'ika Drora Demamona, Hilkachi Lav Depshita Milsa Shalokha Meyaviv. Therefore, if not for the fact that it's obvious that he bought it from his father, Lo Yomer Shelavicha Haisa Vigorim Latzma Hefsid Mammon. He's not going to say it belonged to your father and cause a loss to himself. It must be obviously he's telling the truth that he bought it from the father. Again, that was the case over there of Rabbi Yoshua's case. That's where a person says, this field belonged to your father and I bought it from him. There it is obvious. But if you have a case of the witnesses who say, again, this is our signature over here, Rashi over here continues, over here, there is no potential loss of money when they're giving this edus. So then, if they say this is our signature, but we were forced, maybe there you shouldn't believe them that they were forced. Because when they said originally this is our handwriting, this is our signature, maybe they were thinking we want to testify. They weren't originally thinking that they wanted to say that they were forced. And then they later changed their mind and decided, oh, let's say we were anusim. And that's what it's coming to teach us. In other words, in a case of a Gerard de Mamon, in a case where a person is saying this field belonged to your father, obviously the person all along intends to conclude, and I bought it from the father. It's all one statement, Peshas or Pesha Hitter. But if you have a situation where Edom are saying that we were the Edom, this is our signatures, oh, and by the way, we were forced, there it could have been two separate thoughts altogether. They weren't certainly going to conclude with the phrase, and we were forced, and therefore maybe you would say that you don't apply the Peshas or Pesha Hitter. And the Gemara continues, Vitana Edom. Now, if we only have the case of Edom, Mishum de Lialma, because that's Lialma, as Rashi over here says, de Lialma in hadibur ha'achron mahani la'atzmo elo la'acherim. What they're saying is no benefit to themselves. It's for other people. Umishum acherim will have 100 b'mel for other people. They're not going to go changing their minds. But here, his testimony is on his own behalf. He's saying, I bought this field, etc. So, when he goes and says that he bought it, he purchased the field, that statement is for his own benefit. So there, maybe it's less likely to believe him. There again, that statement is for other people. It doesn't affect them. But here, by him, by the case of the purchase where it's for his own benefit, I might say otherwise. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Dalid Amud Aleph.